My name's Avery. I am a 22-year-old and I live right now in St. Paul, Minnesota, but I grew up out in Watertown, very small country type town, kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I moved to St. Paul a couple years ago, and then next week, my partner and I are moving to Portland, Oregon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Pretty soon you're moving?
Yes, we hit the road next Wednesday, so very soon we're in the middle of packing up our home and getting ready to get out of here.
You renting a U-Haul and just going?
Actually, thankfully, we have just enough stuff to fit in the back of our two cars,
Oh,
so
jeez.
yeah,
Awesome. So that's
yeah,
exciting.
yes, very exciting. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with endometriosis and dysautonomia and hypermobility spectrum disorder. And Minnesota is so like super hot or super cold, especially in the wintertime, obviously. So the like severe types of weather can be like really debilitating for my disabilities, which is like the biggest reason why we decided that like we want to leave Minnesota.
Yeah. Is there a goal with the community that you've built? Are you trying to like reach any specific goal, or is it just like this is a community safe space you guys can come and talk?
Kind of, definitely that. Definitely a space for people to like feel just like themselves, especially because having a disability is really hard and highly stigmatized sometimes. But also, especially when I first started my account, I had so many people reach out to me and say, like, hey, where can I find a surgeon for my endometriosis? Like people from Africa and Europe.
Oh.
And so I've just like, had the ability to connect with people from all around the world, which is also really cool. And just make like different connections that way.
Give us like a day in the life. So you wake up, are you in pain right away, or is it like it slowly throughout the day, a little worse?
Since I've had like my endometriosis surgery, prior to that, I was having pain 24/7. But now, like when I wake up, I usually have, in the last few months, I've developed like pretty chronic hip pain, which is something I struggled a lot with as a child. And I also have like really horrible shin splints that are just, it's kind of just like shards of glass in your shins like 24/7. So that pain is also pretty consistent. And then throughout the day, kind of depending on what I'm doing, part of my connective tissue disorder also includes like my jaw slipping out of or my jaw or my shoulder or my knees like slipping out of place, and having to like pop them back into place, or
So
my
you just your shoulder will like dislocate and you have to like pop it back in?
Yes, yeah. Or there's another word, and it's not like a complete dislocation, but it's like a partial dislocation. It's a subluxation, and that happens a lot, like with my rib cage. So my ribs will like completely slip out of place, and I have to like maneuver them back in so they're in the correct position for me to be able to like breathe properly.
What is some advice you'd give to someone that might have endometriosis or something similar, like what's some advice you would have told your younger self?
I definitely would have told my younger self to keep fighting and keep like being persistent with doctors, especially if you know that you have something. Like a lot of doctors will be like, "Oh, did you Google that?" But there are some patients out there like me that like were seriously digging into like NIH and like serious research publications just to be able to bring that to appointments and say like, hey, I know that the research is here, my symptoms line up with this diagnosis. And I think a lot of times like patients unfortunately have to be the doctor, and at least to be able to self-diagnose to the point of like making it to the point where you're looking at maybe getting diagnosed with that. And so I always just tell people to like seriously advocate for yourself. And if you think that you have something, or you can't just go in somewhere and say that you have pain and they're like, oh, well, we can't find any reason for you to be having pain.